Welcome to the Australian Business Executive Podcast, where we speak with Australia's most influential industry professionals on the business and economic development issues taking place across the country. You can stay up to date with all our content, including our magazines, podcasts and videos by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.
Today's guest is PRD Nationwide Newcastle and Lake Macquarie co-founder and director Mark Kentwell. PRD stands for Property, Research and Development. PRD Nationwide Newcastle and Lake Macquarie have just been ranked number 6 in Real Estate Business Magazine's in Top 50 Offices in Australia ranking. PRD Newcastle and Lake Macquarie have 4 outlets in the Newcastle CBD as PRD, and also with new project suite in Hunter Street Mall, New Lambton, and Warners Bay, powered by one strong administrative hub, plus a dedicated project marketing team and display gallery. Mark is the founding director who still actively sells prestige properties and advises on significant projects with a strong focus on growing his agents and the company. Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So, firstly, tell us a little bit more about the PRD brand.
So the PRD brand has been around since the 1970s. It was founded by Gordon and Archie Douglas, who were developers who weren't really getting the service they wanted from general real estate agencies. So they wanted to start a firm that had a focus on projects, research and development, hence the name. It's now moved on to property research and development. They bought the Nationwide Realty brand that expanded their reach 5 or 10 years later. And we got involved in the brand in 2004, 2005, because it's effectively a brand that has a lot of IP and a lot of opportunity to work nationally, but you really do get a very large territory to grow into. You get a lot of scope to develop your own business model that works with what your objectives are. And for us, we wanted to be across all sectors of residential, sales, property management, also commercial sales and property management, and very importantly for our agent, project marketing as well for the new developments of land and apartments. So that's the head office brand, I suppose. But within our region, we have a very strong focus on training and development, and we really have aimed ourselves right through the middle and upper markets in our areas, and have a broad focus across that whole region.
Can you tell me a little bit about your own story of how you got into real estate?
Yeah, I got into real estate initially because I was always geared up for business. I suppose at school I studied business, economics and legal, but I also hedged my bets and went down the path of 3-unit mathematics, engineering, science, woodwork and materials. And when I was getting into my later high school certificate years, I just started really wanting to get out there and start earning money and creating my own way. I was buying and selling motorbikes at the time. I was really enjoying that. I was entrepreneurially minded, and I didn't think sitting through another 5 years of university to get into the technical trades sort of style of careers or something in that business side that was technically minded was going to suit me. So I went and started earning money in the mines. But I was managing bands and events in my spare time because I was working a really good roster of 4 days on, 3 days off. And whilst I was given a permanent job and I was there long term, if I wanted to be with a great income, I was really enjoying, I'd purchased a couple of properties of my own. I had a shared portfolio. I was managing these bands and events, and I was enjoying the people side of it and the fact that you could get exponential or geometric growth from an industry that had systems and networking and marketing associated with it. And I was just so fascinated by, working with consumers and working with marketing that I really thought that there was going to be a career for me that was more suited than the engineering trades I was in. So even though I was certified in engineering and had a very good trades, long-term job, I started investigating options. My father had gone from the oil industry into development and then commercial not long before, even though he had a long background in understanding it. And he was doing pretty well in another firm. And it was a small firm that was about to be bought out, and he didn't really want to go and work with the other firm. So he was investigating his own options. And my partner at the time, she was working on the front desk of a local real estate company and wanted to go and do her certificate. So I went and did it with her at TAFE, New South Wales, to keep her company, and found I was a bit of a sit up the front student and ask lots of questions, which must have meant I was engaged instead of just warming the seat. And my teacher at the time, Robin Gregory, actually, I just gave her a shout on social media the other day. I said, thank you for encouraging me to get into real estate, because I was on a very stable wicket where I was, but by getting into it, I ended up with a very substantial business, and I'm just absolutely enthralled to be in the industry I am in now.
You've been ranked as the #1 selling agent in regional Australia across all brands. What do you think your team is doing differently that's led to this success?
Well, a lot of it comes back to understanding the system itself that agents are using day in, day out to actually transact property and to engage the buyers in the first place, and then let them have a look at the product that suits them the best and pay their absolute premium price. And when I say premium price, it doesn't mean they're paying more than they would want to pay. It's that they're getting an opportunity to look at the property that suits them and then perform their best. And I noticed a blockage when I first got into real estate, that there was a really low focus on quality databasing techniques. Even though databases were out and CRMs were out, they weren't very well utilised across brands, and I still think they're underutilised, even though there's some great technology out there. So I applied some of my brand and event management techniques that I had learnt very early in the piece, and we're 3 modifications of CRMs in now. We've got a completely customised system, but it's made a very big difference to how our business operates. Also understanding the blockages that an agent has in their day of unproductive activity. And there's a lot of routine and mundane tasks that an agent in a normal firm is doing that's not dollar productive. So by being on the front foot and coming in with fresh eyes, I employed a lot of coaches. I employed a lot of systemology to what we were doing. And everything I learned and improved, I tried it out on clients first. I tried it out on the public. I did a lot of surveying. And when it was succeeding, I then trained others on it. And by having a tribe of people that are trained at such a high level compared to when they came into our business, or such a high level compared to what people are used to receiving as customer service, it automatically gave our brand a positive response in the local marketplace and all the markets that we've operated in, or agents that I've trained in. So that's really helped, because they've got that underlying brand. We've got a business engine that supports agent growth and allows my team and I to be very dollar productive, and that's across the board. But obviously, personally, I've enjoyed some great success from that. But my focus really now is on the team having amazing results, and they continue to do that.
Speaking of success, your footprint is Newcastle and Lake Macquarie, but I'm told you're also now expanding into the Central Coast as well, aren't you?
Yeah, Central Coast is like a big blue ocean for us. It's almost the size of Newcastle, Lake Macquarie geographically, and it is just our neighbour, basically. There are some good operators down there, but they seem to be spotted fairly substantially apart. There's not really a lot of brands that cover the whole coast on one database with one set of leadership. There's a few chain offices, but most of them are sort of independently owned and operated. So I think there's huge advantages there in migrating people from capital cities and up north, but also when the adjoining Newcastle and Macquarie areas, we do see a lot of people going backwards and forwards, but also having those different regional approaches. So we can definitely apply our blueprint there, and we've started that with what seems to be very good signs so far.
We're told buying a home is the biggest purchase someone will make in their lives, but there sure are a lot of real estate agents out there. There's quite a bit of competition in the field. What's generally the cause of all the buying and selling that keeps the industry afloat?
Well, I would say that fundamentally aspiration is probably driving a lot of it. And then there's also the need side of things. If people are having families and needing space, if they're relocating for work, if they've got school zones to consider, of course there are separations and people passing away and people that have financial changes in their circumstances, they drive things as well. But I think a lot of the buying more property and then offloading and improving is happening through aspiration. And I think when you look at Australia's wealth, about 66% of it is in properties and property-based assets. So when people know that the outcome that they can receive from making good decisions, we've been doing this on this planet for thousands of years, building things and improving things. And it's such a great thing to be able to add value and be able to improve your lifestyle at the same time and be rewarded with a financial benefit from that as well.
The Newcastle and Greater Hunter Region has become quite a bit of a national hotspot over the last few years. What's sort of driving and making this area so attractive as of late?
I think always Newcastle has had lovely geography. It's surrounded by sea and it's got the biggest lake in the saltwater lake in the southern hemisphere. It's quite beautiful. It's quite a good climate, but realistically, it has a very robust economy and a lot of growth drivers for the property market. In particular, the change from being a coal and steel town to being a substantial regional city, second biggest in New South Wales, a genuine location hotspot to live as far as employment goes. We've got 7 sectors of employment that are substantial. And when I mean substantial, we've got a massive health sector, for example. And a lot of people think that mining is one of our biggest sectors of employment. It rates a mention in the Hunter, in Newcastle alone, it's quite a small sector compared to other sectors. But retail and accommodation, we've got healthcare, education's massive. Our university has just been ranked number 1 for law in Australia and top 10 in Australia. There's a lot of government jobs here as well. So the employment side of it is driving growth. And now post-COVID, with people able to live, work in a capital city and live in a great place like Newcastle with all the benefits without the traffic and high cost of living, it's a great opportunity.
Now, your PRD branch also has the most amount of agents serving this region. Do I have that correct?
Yeah. So by agent count, we've typically in the last sort of 10 years had more agents than most of our local competitors. And that's not an ego thing. We've got a fairly high barrier to entry. We've got a program that I can credit a very strong leader in the industry, Bradley Brown from Fletcher's in Victoria, who runs 21 offices. He has RIRO, recruit, induct, retain, and outplace. And outplacing is important if you don't have people that match your culture. We've got a very strong culture. And we've had some very high performers in our business that we're very proud of what they've gone and done if they've ever left. And we've got other people that even though they might have been good financially, they haven't been great culturally. And tough decisions need to be made. But if you're clear on what you want, what you stand for and what you're all about, then the predominant behaviour stays strong. And we continue to grow. We've got a great hub for agents and we want to keep growing our hub. So we can see ourselves doubling or tripling in agent count with no problem at all with the base that we've built.
And before we finish today, is there anything else that you haven't had a chance to address?
Well, I think anyone listening to this or reading this article, if it's in printed version, that's not from Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Central Coast or the Hunter, and they've looked at this area and maybe had thoughts about what it looks like in the past to live, work, visit. I think it's a serious opportunity right now, especially in the environment we're in with remote working platforms where one partner may be able to stay and keep their capital city job and use work from home arrangements and occasionally fly back from the Newcastle airport. And the other partner can live and work as well in Newcastle, but actually have a job in our region. I intend on employing a lot more agents, and I'd love to meet more agents, property managers and agents that have got the right attitude, that want to grow, that want to be a part of an innovative brand. And I can see that there'll be great opportunity to bring in more people from across Australia into our brand in our region. So I would have a real good look at Newcastle if I wasn't from there and I was reading this article or listening to this podcast, and get in touch with me personally through our website, which is prdnewcastle.com.au, or just find my details on any of the social channels, because I'd love to talk to you about the opportunities to come and be part of our great region and the expansion opportunities that are there.
Excellent. Well, Mark, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you.
This has been a production of the Australian Business Executive, a division of Romulus Rising Proprietary Limited. All rights reserved. You can stay up to date with the Australian Business Executive, including our magazines, podcasts and videos, by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.